Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper reach out, what now? I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details, www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper reach out, what now? So if you've been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, then receiving contact from your ex will feel like the weight of the world has been lifted from your shoulders. But what now? In today's podcast, I discuss 3 important steps to take if you receive contact from your dumper. Please let me know in the YouTube comments how long ago your breakup was. So let's get straight into this, and number 1 is respond. Now you might think this is obvious, but lots of people hear contrasting and conflicting advice about what they should do if they have been dumped and then receive contact from their ex. This is my opinion, and I can only present to you my own thoughts on this subject, but what I would suggest is that if you have been dumped and you receive contact from your ex, then you must reply. Now, of course, there is a caveat. There's always caveats when you consider rules and suggestions, and what I would say the caveat to this is only respond if you feel comfortable doing so. What this means is that if responding will affect your mental health, then of course you need to put your mental health first. But generally speaking, if we're to generalize here, if you've been dumped and your dumper contacts you, I believe you should respond. I don't believe it matters how many days, weeks, months or years it has been. I don't believe it matters whether this constitutes as breadcrumbs or whether this is something which is deemed to have a lot of effort behind it. These are some of the conflicting things that people hear and suggest when receiving contact from their ex. So I try to make it easy. I try to make it clear and understandable. In my belief, if you have been dumped and you receive a message from your ex, then providing your mental health isn't going to suffer because of this, I believe you should respond. So if you receive a very short message, don't think to yourself, well, this is just a breadcrumb. I'm not going to reply. What's the point? Look, in my opinion, you can move forward in a way with positivity by responding to something, even if it seems negligible. Even if you feel that this is just a breadcrumb, I believe that you can grow breadcrumbs. I believe that even the smallest acorn can produce the largest tree. So it doesn't matter for me what this initial message is from your ex. You can and you are able to grow this. At the end of the day, if somebody contacts you, then they are thinking about you. If somebody contacts you, then they have taken the effort to send this message, and therefore, you need to understand that it doesn't matter if it's a few paragraphs long, whether it is a few lines long, whether it is a few words long. If somebody sends you a message, they thought about you and they have typed this up and they have sent it. Therefore, it doesn't matter to me how long this message is, and it also doesn't matter how long it has been since your breakup occurred. Some people suggest that if you hear from your ex within a certain time frame, you shouldn't respond. Again, I think that is not the way to go. In my opinion, if you hear from your ex, then you should respond. Mental health aside, as I said earlier on in today's podcast, put that first. If it's going to affect your mental health negatively, then of course you need to look after yourself and don't do things which are going to make you feel worse. So if responding to your ex might really trigger your mental health in a negative downward spiral, then you shouldn't respond. But ultimately, at the end of the day, for the vast majority of you, if you receive contact from your dumper, I don't believe it matters how long the text is. I don't believe it matters whether it was 2 days, 2 months, 2 years, or 2 decades. If you feel comfortable, then I suggest you respond. At the end of the day, if somebody messages you, then they've thought about you and they've typed this message up and they've sent it. So even if it isn't the longest, this is still effort, an effort from somebody who previously had decided to end your relationship and move forward in a different direction. If they've taken taken me effort to message you, then for me, in my opinion, you should respond. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper reach out. What now? And point number 2 is enter the communication stage positively. So I touched on this a little bit earlier in today's podcast, but it's so important to believe you can move forward in a positive way. And you do that by going into the communication stage positively. If you go into the communication stage with a negative mindset, this is not likely to help your situation progress. For instance, if you receive contact from your dumper and you respond by saying, well, what took you so long? Or if you respond by saying, why are you messaging me? I thought you dumped me. If you respond in a negative, argumentative, frustrated, bitter way, then this is unlikely to grow into a great positive interaction, which could be the foundation of a new relationship between you and your ex. You've got to think to yourself, if you want to get back together with your ex and you hear from your ex, you need to showcase something which they want to come back to. If you showcase anger, frustration, bitterness, neediness, all of these negative traits, that is not going to help you. You need to be the type of person that other people want to spend time with, and people don't want to spend time with negative people. So when you enter the communication stage, and when I say that, in essence, what I'm saying is as soon as you respond, you've entered the communication stage. I suggest you do it in a positive way. Now look, in today's podcast and every podcast that I do have to speak in a generalized sense. I'm speaking to you all. If you want an individual action plan of what I believe will increase the chance of you one day getting your ex back, then I suggest you consider my audio coaching service. More details can be found on my website, www.dateme.tips. My audio coaching service is where we speak one-on-one verbally. If we speak one-on-one, we can really look at the nitty-gritty, the intricacies, the unique scenario that you are in. Because when I'm speaking generally right now, I have to speak to you all, and I can't go into every single caveat and situation that you are likely feeling. But when we consider the communication stage, in essence, what we want to be doing is growing this communication. You do this by being positive, and if and when you can grow it to the necessary point of where you can try to reconnect, that is when you'll move things to the next stage. Now, I've spoken in other podcasts about how I suggest you progress this, but like I've just mentioned, it is generalized. And hence in today's podcast, I thought I wouldn't really go into depth on that because for some people, you might be thinking, well, this doesn't match my situation. But in essence, the key to this is to remember that you can't have a relationship on the phone. As soon as you can meet, you need to meet. But how you get to that point is going to be unique to your scenario. I do have some generalized content online where I describe my thoughts and feelings about how you go about this, but it is not going to work for every single one of you. You have your own situation, your own breakup, your own relationship prior to that, and now you're in the aftermath. This is different. This is not the same between you and even your friends, let alone you and people from the other side of the world you've never met. And I'm trying to speak to you all. So when we consider the communication stage, go into it positively. Remember, you can't have a relationship on the phone and you need to meet as soon as is feasibly possible. But this can't be rushed. We're trying to make sure that you meet when you can ASAP, but not to rush it to the point of where it's not working. And that is where some of the intricacies in the action plans that I give in audio coaching could be something which helps you. If you feel it could, then please contact me. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper reach out. What now? And point number 3 is look for clues. So when you receive contact from your ex, you can be looking for clues as for why they may be contacting you. Ultimately, contact falls into 2 distinct categories: necessary contact and unnecessary contact. As a dumpee who wants to try to get their ex back, you will be hoping for unnecessary contact. If contact has been made which isn't necessary, then this is a very positive sign because they've taken the effort to contact you when they didn't have to. Now, the opposite of this, unfortunately, is necessary contact. And sometimes you will receive contact from your ex, you'll get all excited, and then it will become clear that it is necessary contact. Necessary contact could be something to do with a legal standpoint. Maybe your ex is saying, look, I want to collect my belongings. I have a legal right to come and fetch them. Or maybe it could be something such as there is some post that you need to fetch from your ex, or some post that has arrived at your house and your ex would like it. These are the types of things which could fall into necessary contact. Another obvious one is if you have children together, there will need to be contact. If you're a dumpee and you receive contact from your ex, but you have children together, you have to consider that this will likely be to help with your children and childcare. So please look for clues, look to see what is the subject matter. Now, you might be thinking, well, does this matter? How do I respond if it's necessary? How do I respond if it's non-necessary? In my opinion, you do respond no matter what. If it's necessary, then you must respond. Because if you don't respond to something which is necessary, then you are being rude, you're being argumentative, you're being awkward. And even though this is necessary right now, you never know if in the future they may have wanted to reach out to you for a non-necessary reason. But if you're awkward with your ex right now, they probably won't do this. So if your ex contacts you and says, look, I'd like to pick up my belongings, and you think, oh, well, this is a necessary reason, they don't want to reconnect with me, clearly it's just about their belongings, I'm not even going to reply. Stuff them, I don't care. If you do this, then you're just going to rile them up. If you do this, you're not going to attract your ex, you're going to push them even further away. So even if it is necessary contact, I suggest you respond. I suggest you keep things on topic, on point. I don't suggest you ask to reconnect during this time. Just keep things to what they are speaking about, but do it in a positive way. If and when you see your ex, even if it is to pick something up, smile, ask how they are, showcase yourself as somebody who is living their life and not just sitting away, being overly emotional, being somebody who can't get up in the morning, being somebody who is unstable within their mindset, because that is not attractive. If and when you see your ex, even if it's for a necessary reason, show you have a stable mindset, show you are living life, show you are somebody that other people would like to spend time with, i.e. your ex. You never know. Necessary contact now might in turn become non-necessary, unnecessary contact in the future. And as I said earlier, if you receive contact in general, I certainly suggest you respond. So if you think, oh, this is unnecessary, well, that's wonderful. Certainly respond, be positive, and move things forward. Whatever the contact, yes, look for the clues, but I suggest you respond. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, Vincent got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.